What is going on, everybody? It's the Bronson. We're here for a very special episode of AEW on TBS for January 25th, 2023. This would have been Jay Briscoe's 39th birthday. And tonight, we had in the main event the tribute match that we should have gotten last week, but we got it this week because Tony Khan did everything he could in his power to get through their heads at WB, Warner Bros. Discovery, that they were being assholes and not allowing Mark Briscoe on TV. So Mark Briscoe took on Jay Lethal in the main event. And man, it was just roller coaster of emotions the entire match, but we'll get to that in a minute. The rest of the show, this show was fucking great. TNT title on the line. Bryan Danielson takes on Brian Cage to continue to trek towards his match at Revolution. He has 2 more weeks of this to go. And after tonight, it's going to be, and what's going to be happening next week, I don't know how Bryan Danielson's going to be able to make it to Revolution at 100%. So we started the show off with Action Andretti and Ricky Starks versus Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho. And I was like, part of me was I would love that they would have started off with the Jay Briscoe tribute match just because it felt like that would have been a great way to start the show, but the ending of the show was probably the better call. Good thing I'm not booking wrestling, just saying. This was a very fun match, but it is a continuation. Obviously, the goal probably is Ricky Starks versus Chris Jericho at Revolution. What do they do with Action Andretti between now and then? I do not know. We still have a whole nother fucking month to go through between now and Revolution. This match was good. Andretti looks great. We had Conan sit on his high horse today, or at least a quote from him show up today, that he's not invested in Wheeler Yuta. He's not invested in Daniel Garcia. He's not invested in a guy like Action Andretti, expecting these 3 guys to be the main event any night of the week type guys in 2023, when all 3 of these guys are at the early part of their careers, and they're not the guys that Tony Khan's going to look to and like, okay, I need a main event tonight. I'm going to go with you, I'm going to go with you, or I'm going to go with you. Now, these guys are great in the spot that they're in right now. They will eventually be those guys that Tony Khan needs to rely on for main events when the John Moxleys, the Bryan Danielsons are gone. The fact that he's going to sit there and like bitch and complain and moan and cry, the fact that Action Andretti, who has only been in the business for 3 years, according to Excalibur tonight. He's been in the business for 3 years. Do you expect him to be main eventing Revolution or All Out or any other AEW pay-per-view when he's 3 years in the business? Hell no. He's not a Brock Lesnar. He's not anybody like that. So why the hell are you going to sit there and think that this guy is going to be a main eventer right now? He is at the young stage of his career. Come back to me in 7 years or so when Action Andretti has been in the business for 10 years, been in AEW hopefully for all 7 of those years, and has many, many feuds and all the seasoning he needs under his belt. Then you talk to me about this guy not being invested in. If you're not invested in the guy right now, that's absolutely fine. He's 3 years in the business and just signed to AEW. Let it wait. Some people, he does have, I watched his match on Dark last night. He had a hell of a fucking match last night. He was doing a lot of stuff out there that made pop the crowd. All that matters right now is that he's getting a reaction. We'll reinvest it in him when it's time to get invested with him. Right now, the story is not Action Andretti. The story is Ricky Starks. Action Andretti is just getting to work with Ricky Starks, Sammy Guevara, and Chris Jericho. All 3 of these guys have way more seasoning in the business than Action Andretti. And this guy's probably sitting there in this tag team match going like, wow, look at these 3 guys. Jericho, the living legend. Ricky Starks, Sammy Guevara, these guys have been in the business for years. Action Andretti in this match alone is getting a lot more he's learning a lot more in this match alone than any other match he's had so far. He's going to eventually face the guys like Danielson and John Moxley, and hopefully by that time he'll be in that position of, wow, this guy could hang with those 2. We'll see what happens. Jericho wants to help this guy, and I think it's all AEW's all better for it. Conan's got to stop talking to Glenn Gilberti because Glenn Gilberti is a fucking moron, and Conan is definitely one of those guys that obviously is not all there. He booked Alberto El Patron for a AAA show. In some people's minds, he booked Marty Scurll for that same exact show, so he has no fucking room to talk when it comes to good judge of character. Anyway, again, action looked great. All 4 guys look great. Sammy Guevara doesn't even have to do anything. This guy just sits in the middle, like, he stands in the middle of the ring, and the fans hate Sammy. They hate this guy. I don't know if Sammy Guevara is ever going to be able to be a babyface ever again. Because this guy could just stand there in the ring, look left to right, and the fans are like, you suck, or boo, you still suck, and go away. This guy is hated. Like, it's a shame because I figured he was going to have himself a nice run in being a babyface. And what happened? He got with Tay Conti, and a lot of people were just jealous of that. That's all there is to it. Jericho, of course, out there. They also had Daniel Garcia was out there with the JAS. He plays a factor in the ending of this match. Match goes back and forth. Sammy goes for the GTH. Andretti fights back. Series of kicks. Only Jericho to pull him out. Starks deals with him and throws the veteran into the ring post, allowing Andretti to hit a hanging neck breaker, but it's not enough. Meanwhile, outside the ring, Starks hits the Rochambeau on Jericho, and you're like, oh shit, that's it. It's going to come down to a 2-on-1 handicap match by now. Even the commentary said this. But Aubrey gets distracted, and as he ties off the turnbuckle, Garcia nails Andretti with a bat as he stumbles into the GTH. 1, 2, 3. Sammy and Chris Jericho pick up the win. All because of Daniel Garcia. Very good opening match. I honestly, I think they should have started with the next match if they weren't going to start with Mark Briscoe versus Jay Lethal. That was going to be the main event. Darby Allin versus Buddy Matthews. But before we got to that, and I honestly don't know why they put the video package here. I would have had the video package for Jay Briscoe before the match, the main event. That's just me. But they show a beautiful. When it comes to Jay Briscoe, I've known of the Briscoes. I've heard of the Briscoes. I've not seen a single one of the Brett matches just because never got around to seeing them. They were in Ring of Honor. And Ring of Honor on TV was on at midnight or 1 a.m. on the weekends when I'm probably asleep or doing something else, or, if New Japan's having a show, watching that. So I never really got to see the Briscoes until Supercard of Honor 2022 when they took on FTR. I mean, I did see the final battle video of FTR and the Briscoes meeting face-to-face in 2021, and I knew it was a big fucking deal. I knew, how much people talk up the Briscoes. I know how big of a deal FTR is, how great FTR is, and I knew that meeting between them two was going to be a big deal, and the 3 matches we got for them, my God, they were great matches. I don't know much. I didn't get to see much of Jay Briscoe on television. I get to see much of his work. I hear so many great things about him. Fuck whatever anyone wants to say negative about this guy from 10, 13, 14, whatever years ago it was. The guy, seeing that video of him dancing with his daughter and helping her get ready for a cheer competition. Apparently at one of the cheer competitions, he was actually doing the dances in the crowd. The man was a family man. He has 3 great, wonderful kids. 2 of them are still recovering. Keep them in your prayers and everything. I'm just hoping that everything for that family, Tony Khan's going to help take care of that family. Taking care of the family, basically the easiest thing to do is put Mark Briscoe is All Elite, which I was hoping, and might be a thing that happened after the show. I do not know. But, yeah. I don't have many memories of seeing Jay Briscoe, but I've heard so many things about the Briscoes. And yeah, I didn't get to see much of Jay in the ring, but the 3 matches last year were 3 all-time classics. Those matches are going to be looked back on if they ever show up on YouTube for free via Ring of Honor or AEW or whatever. It would definitely be, honestly, if one of those matches ends up for free on Ring of Honor on YouTube, I will definitely do a free match a Tuesday night free match or a free match Friday or whatever for that match, because it is damn worth it. All three of those matches are three of the best tag team matches I have ever seen. And I cannot still to this day tell you which one of those three was the best of those three. It was great. It's just not fair that this guy lost his life and it wasn't anything that he could control. Just taking his daughters to a convention or function or something, and somebody swerved or was drunk or whatever. And I don't know the full story. All I know is it was, for whatever reason, the other car swiped into his lane, boom, and dead. Now, some people are saying that what if Jay and Mark were working that Wednesday night show, what Jay wouldn't have been on the road. But then you got to think to yourself, if Jay wasn't on the road with his daughters that day, it would have been their mother taking that ride if she drives, and the same thing would have happened, only it wouldn't have been Jay dead, it would have been the mother dead. And that would have been like, just to think about that, it's just like, it sucks. Like, Jay's lasting legacy, for anybody who's an AEW fan who doesn't know much about Jay Briscoe, is that it took his death, and it sucks to say this, it took his death to get Mark Briscoe on television. It fucking sucks. Jay and Mark should have been allowed on AEW television from day one. I don't know who at WB, Warner Brothers Discovery, had a problem with the Briscoes. I don't know who you are, but you should be ashamed of yourself. You should never sleep well again. You should fucking hate yourself. You should you should feel disgusted with yourself. The fact that you left these guys off of television, refusing them pay because of your SJW woke crybaby agenda. Fuck you. Fuck everybody that you fucking told and could not let this guy on television. You are just scum of the fucking earth, and you should never be happy at anything in your life ever again. Fuck you. Darby Allin took on Buddy Matthews for the TNT Championship. What did you expect? This match was a banger. What else can I say? Buddy Matthews is fucking fantastic. Now, Buddy Matthews came out with a mask on. It was a really spooky looking mask, and did not take it off until Darby got to the ring. After Darby got in the ring, they did the whole introduction and everything. He takes the mask off. He had the same side of his face painted in the same style of Darby Allin, and Darby just smirked, and I'm like, oh really? You're going to try and do my thing? So, these guys had a banger. This was actually not the typical Darby Allin gets beat up for 95% of the match. It did feel like it was more 50-50 in this match. Of course, Darby was coming off of he has his leg taped. He did have that match in Japan on Sunday with the Great Muta in his last match as Great Muta. And that was fun. I actually watched that match. That was a really good match. And like, that entire event was interesting. Really didn't pay too much attention to most of the matches, but the Ninja Mac the Ninja Mac match was pretty interesting, especially since Ultimo Dragon was in that match and he had Sonny Ono with him, which that was funny. But anyway, this match was great. Guys going back and forth. Darby trying everything he can to exploit what was an injury. You see a nice little white thing of tape around Darby's leg. I don't know exactly what that is. And Julia gets involved. The lights go out. Lights come back on. Malachi Black comes out, is there. Brody King is there. But Ortiz comes from behind, hits Brody in the back. He goes after Malachi. Sting goes after Brody. They fight away, so they're gone. Comes down, I don't know exactly what happened to maybe let's see. Maybe Julia left with them to try and go and like break that all up. But it did come down to one-on-one. Nobody else was a factor, which is fine. I like the way that is. Allin hits a crucifix bomb, but Matthew kicks out. Matthews then throws several strikes, but Allin responds with some of his own. But the challenger comes on the top turnbuckle bomb, and then a stomp, but the champion kicks out this time. Matthews then takes a long hit to move. Takes too long to hit a move, and Allin responds with a code red, but the only gets a near fall. Matthew stops a coffin drop again by heading to the top turnbuckle, but he tries to suplex him. Allin turns it into a mid-air scorpion death drop, which he beat Juice Robinson last Friday on Rampage. Matthews kicks out. Matthews is hanging on the second rope. Allin nails the coffin drop. 1, 2, 3. He picks up the win. Now, he hits the coffin drop on that, and does the smart thing is he makes the pinfall. He pulls in Matthews' arm because they were right beside the rope, so that Matthews could not take his arm and grab the rope. And then Matthews couldn't get his leg up in time to pull it over, and Darby picked up the win. After the match, Tony Schiavone gets in the ring. You knew something was going to happen. You knew the next challenger was going to show himself one way or another. Tony Schiavone hits the ring, interview champ, but Samoa Joe appears on the screen. He says it's his kingdom, and he's coming to take everything from Allen, and he stole the TNT title from him, and he warns him that what you did was the biggest mistake of your life, winning that championship. It has been official. Next week, it will be Darby Allin, Samoa Joe in a no-holds-barred match for the TNT Championship. Matt Hardy and Ethan Page, which is cool, gonna be fun. I think Samoa Joe probably should get the title back. Forgot before we do to the next match. They showed a video package of Adam Cole. Adam Cole is cleared, but he's not in ring shape because he's been out and he couldn't do anything. So they showed him working out in the ring earlier in the day, and at the end of the video package, he says that that day's coming, but he doesn't know when it's going to be. We cut to the back, like Adam Cole looking up and off to the side a little bit. In his view, is the Revolution March 5th tag. So honestly, I think he'll be back at Revolution. Who will he face? I don't have a fucking clue. I don't know who is victim number one or person number one that Adam Cole is looking to take on for the TNT for AEW when it returns. Matt Hardy and Ethan Page versus Jungle Boy and Hook. Jungle Hook. I don't really care about this Matt Hardy Ethan Page shit. I really don't. Jungle Hook wins. Not much big of a deal. Matt Hardy stayed like. Jungle Boy had Ethan Page in the snare trap, and Matt Hardy, instead of getting in the ring, has his arms stretched out like, come on, tag me, come on, tag. Hook pulls him down, knocks him out, and he has as soon as Hook pulled him down, Ethan Page taps out. So that was that. Really don't care. This whole Ethan Page Matt Hardy thing has been a dark storyline, and I really don't give a flying fuck. Family therapy takes place. Don't give a shit. Backstage, Adam Page is with Renee Paquette again, and he says that he tries to look forward to see. He keeps going back to Ohio where they started with Jon Moxley. He says next he'd like to knock Jon Moxley out in Ohio. However, Wheeler Yuta appears and says he's not cleared tonight, but Moxley accepts and he challenges. And then Yuta challenges him to a match on Friday on Rampage. So it will be Hangman Adam Page versus Wheeler Yuta, and that is being taped right now. Bryan Danielson versus Brian Cage in the ring. This match was another. Brian Cage has had banger after banger after banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. He had and they've been on Dark mostly. He had 2 matches last week with Willie Mack. They were bangers. He did have one match in between those. I think it was on Dark. The other one was on Dark Elevation, where it wasn't a banger, but it was only a squash match, whatever. But all of his big matches, like, he took on a dude named Shaft. I don't know who the fuck Shaft was. He looks the size of Brian Cage, and they went out there on Dark Elevation last week and had a banger. If you haven't seen Brian Cage versus Shaft, I'm pretty sure it was on last week's episode of Dark Elevation, not this past Monday's, but the Monday before. Check that match out. It was a certified banger. I believe it opened the show too, so you don't have to speed through the show. I'm pretty sure it was the opening match of that show. It was a banger. And it makes me want to see Shaft in AEW on Dark and Dark Elevation more. Tony Khan, get Shaft back. Bryan Danielson versus Brian Cage. This was the storyline of this match is Brian Cage has been paid to break Danielson's arm. Doesn't matter if he wins, doesn't matter if he loses, just break his arm. So Cage, the entire match, works on the arm of Bryan Danielson. As commentary notes later in the match, it's a good thing for Bryan Danielson that Brian Cage isn't a submission specialist, so he doesn't have any submissions for him to go after Bryan Danielson. So he's working on the arm, and if Bryan Danielson was going up against like anybody else who does an armbar or something, he would have tapped out at the end of this match because his arm was fucked the majority of this match. So back and forth match, guys going over. Like, of course, Cage trying to do everything he can to win this match. To not win this match. He's not trying to win. He's trying to hurt. That was all there is to it. Danielson reverses, gets a roll up, 1, 2, 3. He picks up the win after a buckle bomb. He goes for a buckle bomb, but Danielson gets the win. After the match, Cage attacks Danielson and focuses on the arm. Hits a gory special. Someone in the timekeeper area keeps ringing the bell. I don't know who the female timekeeper is, but she's pretty cute. Just saying. He gets a chair and gives it to Cage and puts him in the ring, him inside it, and he sends him crashing into the ring post while his arm is stuck. MJF throws some punches on him while he's in the ring. Traps his in the arm, going to do a stomp. Was going to Pillmanize his arm. Was going to Pillmanize Danielson's arm. MJF looks to jump down. Konosuke Takeshita comes in, makes the save, sends Brian Cage off as MJF got out of the ring and grabbed his title and left. So, I think this is leading to Konosuke Takeshita versus Brian Cage. And this is going to be Konosuke Takeshita's big win on television. This is going to be his first big win on AEW television against a guy like Brian Cage. I think it's going to be great. It's not been made for next week, but it's going to be great. Backstage, doctors say they can't. Says he can't wrestle, but Danielson says he doesn't care. He did a 60-minute before with a separated soda, so he will fight. He's not just going to expose MJF. He will show that he's a fraud. He's a person that should be AEW World Champion, not MJF. Tony Storm versus Ruby Soho. Now, we came into this day. It was supposed to be a triple threat match. A couple hours before the show, they said due to an injury, the Shit Faker could not be in this match. I was like, what injury? Why couldn't she be cleared? Well, if you watched Dark last night, and this is AEW trying to bleed in Dark with main roster television, she had a match against Billy Starks, and she came out bleeding through the nose. Didn't know if it was broken or anything. This match was taped weeks ago. It was taped literally, I think, 4 weeks ago. So, having her not be cleared because of something that happened 4 weeks ago is absolutely stupid. Of course, the match was aired last night. So, Toni Storm's a heel. Absolutely. Coming out wearing pants. Coming out, they had this video package of her talking, and she had this smug look on her face. She's talking like a bitch. She's not talking about, oh, I'm Toni Storm, like a happy-go-lucky version of Toni Storm. So they had this match. Ruby Soho, of course, came out to help Willow last week. And that's what led us to this match. No Saraya, which I'm really surprised because it looked like they were having these two be a team, but yet no Saraya. They lock up. They have this match here. Now I gotta say, I don't know how we haven't had a woman in AEW come out with a concussion when they face Toni Storm, because that sweet cheek music of hers, the hip attack. Oh my God. She got Ruby Soho got one early on on the ropes, and then a second one in the corner, and I'm like, how has no one gotten a concussion? It looks so brutal. Well, Storm fakes her nose injury because she had her nose broken after Full Gear last year. She fakes this nose injury. She takes down Ruby Soho, hits her with a DDT. Ruby Soho kicks out. Shit Faker's music plays. She walks out and she just has this smile like, I'm not hurt. I only made it up. Allows for a destination unknown. 1, 2, 3, and Ruby Soho picks up the win. Shit Faker was never supposed to be in this match. They false advertised, and nobody's gonna bitch about it. She was not injured. The injury happened. If she was injured, she wouldn't have had that match a couple weeks ago. Where what was it? 2 weeks ago, where Sheeta threw the kendo stick in, and she used it to win that match. She wasn't injured because the match where she had her nose busted was taped before that match. So yeah, she's not injured. It was all part of the story. Because Tony Khan decides what matches at Universal air at what time. So she wasn't hurt. MJF showed backstage, but some people can't hide the emotion. He says, says that he has taste and he thinks Takeshita is very talented, but up top he's not. He tells him he can't match his tempo and he wants Takeshita to stay out of his business. He asks Daniel how his arm's doing. He claims Danielson is obsessed with the title. Just like him, as the belt does make him better than others. He questions if Danielson doesn't have enough, but no, he's trying to take it out from him. He suggests Danielson have a hole in his soul and he's trying to fill. He says bad things happen to people who messed with him, and he warns Danielson he doesn't want to get involved with the mental game. With MJF says he had Tony Khan issued an open contract to someone who loves inflicting pain to anyone, and he found somebody who loves inflicting pain and says, roll the footage. His next opponent next week is Timothy Thatcher. That's right. That's Thatch Karen himself, who was on the last Pro Wrestling No event, Bye Great Muda, this past Sunday, is going to be in AEW next week. Please bring Symphony number 9. Please, Timothy Thatcher. You used it on Noah. Use it on Wednesday. I can't wait because I'm tired of Volta and Imperium not using the rightful theme music for that shitty version they're using now. We go to the main event, Mark Briscoe versus Jay Lethal. The regular commentary got out and came in Caprice. I do not know why we needed Excalibur there. It should have only been Ian and Caprice, in my opinion. Just saying. Jay Lethal comes out with Sanjay Dutt wearing the Reach for the Sky Jay Lethal shirt, Jay Briscoe shirt. Please go buy that on AEW on Pro Wrestling Tees. The money does go benefit to the Briscoes family. Please go buy that shirt if you can. It really will help that family out. They hug. You could just see, they show Sanjay's face, and you could just see the tears in his eyes. They shake, and he goes to the back. He comes to the ring. Mark comes out. He's got one tag team title around his waist. He's got the other tag team title in his hand. He comes out, and they're both introduced. Mark is introduced as a co-holder of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles as he holds both belts up. And Tony Khan, I'm begging you, do this right. Retire that design. Get a new design that has the newer logo on it. And do a Brody Lee Jr. Take those titles and give them to both of Jay's daughters who are in the hospital. The two, in the honor of their father, give those two belts to his daughters. You did it for Brody Jr. You gave him the TNT title, which makes no sense because I don't give a shit. Brody Lee is not synonymous with the TNT title. He had one short title reign and only had a couple matches. But Jay Briscoe is more synonymous with the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles by a long shot than than Brody Lee would have been with the TNT title. And that's just what I'm going to say about that. So, the match doesn't even matter. It was a good match. They hugged. It was a good match. It was great. Mark Briscoe wins with the Jay Driller, as he should have. I can't even with this. It's just so crazy how all this happened. It was a good match. Jay Driller for the win. Actually got a nice elbow drop through the table on the outside, and from Mark to Jay Lethal. God, it's gonna be so hard to say that because Jay Lethal's his actual ring name too. And so the match ended. Mark got to the camera. He gave his wishes to his nieces, and then told his brother he loved him and he's gonna stay strong and everything. Everyone comes out on stage. I think everyone should have been on stage watching the match from the start. I'm just saying. But they are all out there. Jay Lethal gives him the ring. He has his moment with the fans and everything. He heads up. He hugs Christopher Daniels. He hugs Roosh, BJ Whitmer, Tony Khan, and Sanjay Dutt. It was a very good moment, and he held the titles up. We cut the black with Mark Briscoe holding both championships up with the Jay Briscoe Memorial picture behind them on the Titantron. It was a very good moment, and one that it's up there with the Brody Lee tribute show. I know this wasn't a full-blown tribute show. That's going to be coming very soon. Tony Khan said he'll have more information on that soon. Says it's going to be a 3-hour event. I don't know why he wants to do a 3-hour event, but okay, that's going to be fine. Just, if you want to watch one match from this show, you obviously got to watch Mark Briscoe versus Jay Lethal. It was worth it. The fans were into it the entire time. Thank you, Tony. Let's go, Briscoe. Everything. It was what was needed. And I will say Jay and Mark, and I can say that because it's Jay Lethal. Jay and Mark in this match, when they started hitting each other, they got it like they were all emotional in the beginning of this match. It felt like there was a struggle, but when they started getting into the flow of the match, everything's drained out for a bit as these guys went in there and just started chopping the shit out of each other. Like, it's worth watching. But it's a good show. It was a great show. AEW is putting on bangers. Like the new year was a full reset, and I'm hoping this is not the last time we see Mark Briscoe in AEW. I hope we see him next week on Dark, next week on Dark Elevation, next week on Rampage. Get this guy on TV more and give us more of Mark Briscoe. And that's all I gotta say. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Minds at the France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/the France Club, and find me on Instagram at the France Club. And I'll see you guys next week for the Royal Rumble. Until then, this weekend for the Royal Rumble. I'm sorry. Till then, my name is the France, and I'll see you guys later.